My sister mocked me in the family chat as an unemployed gamer, then begged for free help. I said no. Weeks later, the bar suspended her license. My sister Alicia, 29, a female, created a meme about me, called her, 31, a guy, and how being a freelance coder equaled being an unemployed gamer, which she posted in the family group chat. Everyone laughed. Nobody defended me. I quit the chat without saying anything. Fast forward a few weeks, and guess who is calling me because something critical has happened. And now my skill set matters. What began as her attempting to use me escalated into a full-fledged breakdown with attorneys, falsehoods, and some wonderful karma for which I did not have to lift a finger. You're going to enjoy this one. It becomes messy. Have you ever looked at your phone and knew it was ready to piss you off? That was me last Tuesday. I work as a freelance software engineer, so, while I was eating leftover Chinese and correcting a malfunctioning contact form for a client whose website appeared to have been time-traveled from 2007, I received a ping from a family group chat. For context, this chat was always a mess. My mom sends me good morning gifs every day, my dad sends me recycled hustling quotes, and my sister Alicia sends me odd images of her successes, like she's conducting her own press release campaign, while Aunt Morwen sends those ridiculous Minions jokes. So, half the time, I would silence the chat and move on. But this one hit differently. That was a meme. A cartoon drawing of a scruffy person in a hoodie with Cheeto dust on the keyboard, surrounded by empty energy drink cans. The caption read, "Freelance coding equals unemployed gamer." My name was tagged twice. To emphasize the point, Alicia added, "El Mao had to share, you doing okay over there, Calder?" My mother then responded with a laughing emoji. Dad said, "So true. Haha." And my cousin Narissa threw in a Kevin Hart laughing gif as if it were the greatest thing she'd seen. I did not respond. There's no point. I simply left the conversation silently. There is no dramatic exit message. There was no, "You'll regret this." Instead I tapped leave chat and that was it. Not because I was angry. I mean, that irritated me, but basically I didn't want to waste any more of my time on folks who still believe that working for a law firm implies success and that starting your own business means you're one bad day away from streaming Fortnite for rent. Alicia has always been known as the golden child. Straight A's, honor society, and law school. The family essentially organized a graduation week for her. Custom cake, photo shoot, the works. When I became certified in front-end development and took on my first serious client, Cricket. Dad termed it a phase. Mom inquired whether I was still doing that computer thing. Alicia joked that I should write digital handyman on my business card. So, no, I did not leave because I had been harmed. I departed since I did not want to stay for a roast session to which I had not RSVP. It is not about ego, it's all about self-respect. I grew up as the 13-year-old who built his own PC while everyone else was playing sports or taking dancing lessons. I enjoyed figuring out why things didn't function and correcting them without having to ask anyone for assistance. However, my family thought I was antisocial or lazy at the time. At the age of 10, Alicia started giving fake court presentations in the living room, dressed in her mother's blazer, and with her stuffed animals serving as jurors. They ate it up. Our tiny lawyer. Every time she spoke, they pretended she was healing cancer. Every time I mended the Wi-Fi or assisted mom's friend in resetting her email password, I was just the child who knows how to use technology. By the age of 20, I had stopped trying to impress anyone. I freelanced, worked on well-paying jobs, and gradually built up a client base. I didn't make a big deal out of it, nor did I bring it up in front of anyone. I simply toiled silently, believing that achievement would eventually speak for itself. Apparently not loud enough for them to hear over Alicia's constant bragging about her bar exam and LinkedIn followers. So, yeah, that meme, that was the moment I knew there was no way to win them over. They weren't laughing because they had misinterpreted me. They were laughing because that's how they perceived me. The weaker sibling, the joke. So I bounced. No huge speech, no rage texting, simply done. Later that night, I continued to think about it. Not the meme itself, but how casual it felt for them. They acted without hesitation. Similarly, they don't hesitate to compliment Alicia on everything, including things I assisted her with in the background. Yes, that is a fun little detail. She once called me up, worried, since her company's internal portal was malfunctioning during a live conference. I fixed the CSS and JavaScript on the spot. Never asked for a thank you. I just did it because I am not petty. But guess who said she figured it out on her own on the following team call? So, no, I am not mad. I am not bitter. I'm done being the team mascot for a family that only applauds when the lawyer speaks. I screenshotted the meme not for retribution, but because I enjoy preserving receipts. Especially for situations like this. It's strangely motivating, like a digital version of, "They'll see." I returned to work. 3 tickets are in my inbox. A client asked if I could create a custom widget to track bookings. Another user is looking for assistance with a broken WordPress site. Today was a good day. Quiet, productive, no memes, no phony smiles, just code, coffee, and tranquility. And you know what? That meme was the nicest thing they could have done for me, since I now understand exactly where I stand. And unlike them, I am not pretending. They can fabricate whatever they want. Status, proximity, and even the tight-knit family photo they publish online for likes. I'm not playing that game. I do not need their approval. I have invoices that speak louder. So imagine my disappointment when I received a text from Alicia 5 days later. There was no, "Hey." There was no, "How are you?" There was no sign of humility. Just pure panic. "Alicia, I need your help, it's urgent. I think someone hacked my files. Something important might get leaked." I gazed at the message for a good 10 seconds, blinked, and then laughed out loud alone in my room like a crazy person. This was the same person who mocked me as a basement IT guy in front of my father's co-workers last Thanksgiving for wearing a sweatshirt instead of a blazer. Now she has urgent technical issues, and I suddenly appear. I didn't respond. Not right away. I took a screenshot and went back to work. We had a payment gateway integration to test. Her problem did not even make my top 5 of the day. The next morning she reiterated, "Alicia, I'm serious. These files are strictly confidential. I could go into trouble. You're familiar with this material. I truly need you." Then a second text arrived. "Alicia, I'm not asking you to fix everything. Just look into it. You're not even working a real job anyway." That's the last line, man. That's what made it enjoyable. I could almost hear her voice in my thoughts. Smug, dismissive, as if asking me for help was a favor. Unemployed gamers have nothing better to do, right? So I said, "You want professional help? You'll need to pay my professional rate." I was short, direct, and respectful, with no sarcasm. I was so pleased of myself. She did not like that. "Alicia, wow. Seriously? You're charging your own sister? Alicia, you'd really let me get into trouble just because of a joke?" "Yes, exactly. It was always just a harmless little joke." I said, "I'm not going to let you get into trouble. You are." I then muted her. 3 hours later, my mother called. I let it ring twice before answering. I knew what tone she would use. That gentle, theatrical, guilt-filled voice. The one she pulls out when someone is in the hospital, or when she needs a trip to the airport at 4 a.m. "Calder," she began. "Your sister is going through a serious situation. You really can't just help her out." I took a breath. She said I wasn't working a real job, remember? So, this unemployed gamer's busy playing on his keyboard right now. Don't be petty. I hadn't been. I handled billing. "She's your sister," Mom said, as if it were some kind of global override code. "And I'm your son," I said back. Funny how that only counts when Alicia requires something. She sighed as if I were being difficult, as if I wasn't the one being asked to clean up a mess for free and then ridiculed for doing so. That's the issue with individuals like them. They want the rewards of your skills but not the respect for your labor. They believe that love equals unpaid labor. What made it funnier? She had already tried approaching other people. Later, I discovered that she had approached 2 of her firm's legitimate tech guys, whom she had previously boasted about in her network. One informed her it would cost $1,200 with no shortcuts. The other requested $500 merely to open the files. No handouts, no phony sibling discounts. So she looped back to me, believing I'd joined for free because we shared a last name. Like I was still the kid who fixed her printer in exchange for pizza. "She's nervous, Calder," my mother explained. "She should be," I answered. "Confidential files, legal career. Those consequences aren't a joke." Mom paused for a moment. Then she said what she always says when she loses an argument. "You've always been jealous of her." There it was. The typical fallback. Not, "You're right." Not, "We've been unfair." Just the same tired narrative they've used since we were little. Alicia, the star. Calder is the problem. It doesn't matter how many clients I've helped or how successful my business is. In their perspective, achievement is only meaningful if it occurs in a courtroom or on a LinkedIn headline. "I'm not jealous," I responded quietly. "I'm just tired of being treated like the family tech support with no salary." She didn't answer. I just said fine. And then hung up. No goodbyes. That night I went to bed wearing the sweater she previously mocked. I felt at ease, stress-free, and confident in my decision. The following morning, I awoke to commotion. Screenshots are everywhere. Elysia's files were leaked. And not just any file. We are not discussing contracts or legal memos. We're talking about screenshots of affair conversations, personal messages, sexual content, material with names and timestamps, and even a few office allusions. Apparently, she had been coaching one of her clients too closely. My sister is married, so she was having an affair. Suddenly, every mutual connection started murmuring. The group chat that I had left was silent. My mother didn't call. Elysia did not text. Nobody asked me for assistance anymore. I sat at my desk, sipping cold coffee, watching the action unfold as if I were a spectator at a game for which I had not purchased tickets. I did not laugh. I did not post anything. I quickly opened the Notes app and scribbled 3 words. I warned her. Not directly or dramatically, but in every way that counted. I told her months ago that her passwords were lazy. That putting sensitive information in Google Drive folders labeled "Do Not Open One" was not exactly Fort Knox. She rolled her eyes. They told me that not everyone has to be a paranoid neckbeard. All good then. Her crucial legal files were scattered, but not for the reasons she claimed. It was not client contracts or secret firm information. Nope. It became out that the hacked files included screenshots of explicit messages between her and one of her married clients. Texts, photographs, and even a silly audio note in which she referred to him as daddy, and joked about invoicing their amorous conversations as consultancy hours. Professional, correct? The screenshots included names, timestamps, and her work email address in the corner. She didn't even bother with a burner, just sheer ignorance uploaded directly to the cloud. By lunchtime, they were everywhere. Someone delivered them secretly to a private legal organization. Someone else shared them in a group chat at her alma mater. And of course, it made its way into the local legal gossip circuit. To make matters worse, one of the texts included her legal firm's name. Let's keep this quiet. My firm would flip if they saw this. Oh right. What do you think? I sat at my workstation, checking a dashboard for a client's e-commerce backend while seeing her reputation plummet in real time. My phone vibrated several times. One from a high school friend. Yo, is that your sister trending on Legal Mess? Another. Didn't she always call you unemployed? Yes, the same one. What truly shocked me was how quickly it escalated. It wasn't simply embarrassment. It was possible disbarment territory. Some others began to speculate about who the person was and whether he was a customer she represented. If it was, she may have crossed ethical lines that go beyond oopsie zone. Then came the cherry on top. Someone revealed that she was under internal review at her company for conduct-related issues. They were attempting to figure out how quickly they could cut her free without catching any stray shrapnel. Approximately 3 p.m. I got the first actual message from her since the whole thing started. Elysia, what did you do? No. Hi, no, help, just an allegation. I stared at it. The irony was amazing. She asked me to help her, refused to pay, and now believes I shared screenshots from her affair in retaliation. Nah, I'm not really bored. I accomplished nothing, yet it is still more than you deserve. I didn't even get a reply. She just sent a status update on WhatsApp saying, people will lie when they feel threatened. Sure. You are the victim in this situation. You are the victim. By the evening, her spouse had gone into ghost mode, deleting his social media, removing their wedding photos from his site, and updating his bio to simply say, forward. It was the coldest move I'd seen since someone angrily quit a Dota tournament. The guy was known for his low-key demeanor and dislike of controversy. So witnessing him act as if she was dead to him taught me everything I needed to know. She did not make a simple mistake. She set fire to her own house, expecting the rest of us to hold the hose. And just when I thought everything was over, I received a call from a burner number. I normally don't respond to unknowns, but I was interested. It was her spouse. Hey man, he replied, not trying to start anything. I know you do tech stuff and I need to know. Did you leak that? His voice sounded tired, not angry. The type of tired you hear from people who have been lied to in stereo. No, I informed him. She came to me asking for help. I told her I'd do it for a price. She refused. Then it leaked. I had nothing to do with it. He was calm. Then he said, I believe you. I just needed to hear it. We didn't speak after that. But later that night, he posted a picture of their dog on Instagram with the comment, she got the law degree. I got the better loyalty. That's peak poetic justice, regardless of who you are. Meanwhile, I kept working since, unlike her, I did have clients. I wasn't simply surviving, I was scaling. I even had a local HVAC technician recommend me to one of his company associates who need custom back-end work for scheduling installs. He said, I told him you're the guy who doesn't mess around. That single remark meant more to me than everything my family had ever said. The family group chat is still calm. Nobody reached out. There is no damage control, even from Mom. They must have been occupied cleaning up the mess left by the kid who claimed to have direction. Around midnight I received one final message from Alicia. "Alicia, you're loving this, aren't you?" I did not respond. I have recently archived the chat. I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't even celebrating. This was not a win for me. It was simply another reminder that the same individuals who had looked down on me for years were now pleading for my assistance when things became serious. And I have receipts to prove it. I backed up all of her texts, sorted the timestamps, and put them in a folder labeled, "In Case of Blame Game." Because if I've learned anything about individuals like her, it's that they don't take defeat lightly. They're looking for someone to drag down with them. But this time, I wasn't near the blast zone. I'd spent years providing the emotional safety net for everyone in that family. The guy they'd criticize on Monday then turned to for assistance on Tuesday. But not anymore. This time, I was merely the man watching everything burn from a safe, well-insulated distance, complete with receipts, backups, and a protected folder labeled, "Not My Problem." Alicia, meantime, was free-falling. First, the law firm. Apparently, the moment the screenshots arrived in their inbox, they went into full CYA mode. Internally, they referred to it as misconduct concerns. Externally, there was radio silence. Not even a PR ruse, just a silent removal of her name from the firm's website as if she never existed. The clients come second. I recognized one of them. He had attended a number of her "Look Who I'm Representing" meals, which my parents were oddly proud of. A man who owned multiple homes and hired Alicia for contract work. When the story broke, he removed his files and recruited someone else. He did not even call to say goodbye. I just left a review online that read, "Unreliable. Would not recommend." Then came the personal breakdown. Her husband went into full ice mode, changing the locks, taking the car, and, according to one of my friends who still lives nearby, giving away her Peloton for free on Craigslist. And just when I thought the worst was past, I had a tap on my door. It was Mom and Dad. Now I live in a modest apartment around 15 minutes from their home. They rarely pay a visit unless they need something or have run out of individuals who will tolerate them. So, when I answered the door and found them standing there with that strange, excessively friendly look, I realized it wasn't about catching up. "Can we talk?" Mom inquired. I stood aside. "Sure, shoes off." They sat stiffly, as if they were attending a parole officer. Dad cleared his throat, as if preparing to begin a PowerPoint presentation. "Your sister's going through a rough time, he told you?" I nodded. "Yeah, apparently she's been going through people too." Mom grimaced. "Called her please. She said I'd be nothing." I reminded them that freelancing was code for unemployment, that I was just lucky if someone needed a cheap website. I remember that. "Do you?" They alter their posture. Neither made eye contact. "We're not here to relive old fights," Dad stated in his usual bland tone. "We're here to ask for your assistance." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean the same help she refused to pay for?" There was silence. "She's being investigated. The Bar Association might get involved. She could lose her license," my mom warned. "She leaked her own affair texts," I explained. "The only thing I did was say no." "She says you manipulated them," my dad replied. I laughed loudly, the kind of laugh that makes others uncomfortable. "Then she should sue me." "Oh wait. She probably will." "She's scared," Mom stated again. "She should have been scared before she hit send," I told her. Then came the true reason why they were there. The guilt was not working. As a result, they reverted to their preferred strategy: manipulation through responsibility. "We just need you to clarify a few things," Dad explained, digging into his folder. He gave me a letter. It was previously signed by Alicia. A written statement stating the screenshots were forgeries, maybe by a family member who had access to her cloud credentials. They wanted me to sign it too. I blinked. "You're asking me to admit I staged a scandal to ruin my sister's life on paper?" Dad nodded, as if he were passing me a grocery list. "It's just to calm things down. No one's going to check the details." Mom jumped in with arms folded. "You don't even have a reputation to protect, Calder. She does. Be reasonable." They were staring at me. "You're actually saying I have nothing to lose?" "She's a lawyer," my mother replied. "She built something. You work from your laptop. You could recover. That is the dumbest logic I've ever heard." I responded, "You want me to lie so she can keep pretending to be better than me?" "We're not asking you to lie," Dad explained. "We're asking you to support your sister." I laughed again. "This is support? You want me to burn myself to keep her warm?" "You always twist things," Mom exclaimed. "This is why no one takes you seriously." You act like the world owes you something just because you didn't get enough attention as a child. I stood up. You can take the letter and leave. You can take. Dad frowned, as if I had failed a spelling bee. You're being emotional. No, I replied. I'm being done. Mom grabbed her purse as if it particularly offended her. I hope you're happy when she loses everything. She lost it the second she treated me like trash and expected me to play janitor. They walked out stiff, mumbling. Right as the door closed, Dad added, "You've always had a chip on your shoulder." I reopened it. Yeah, and it's gotten me farther than your approval ever did. That night, I received a text from Elysia. Elysia, you always wanted to watch me fall. You finally got your wish. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened an email from a new client, a property manager seeking back-end assistance for a housing site. He claimed he found me through a referral from a real estate agent. Heard you're the guy who gets things done without the drama. I accepted the deal. The next morning I received an unexpected DM on LinkedIn from someone I hadn't communicated with in years. Her former law school roommate. Hey, don't know if you heard, but Elysia's been suspended. Word is she's blaming you. There it was. I had been expecting it. The pivot. The scapegoat maneuver. She did not merely fall. She needed to take someone with her. And because I was the one who said no, I became the antagonist in her little courtroom drama. That afternoon I received another mail from a company Elysia had applied to before all of this. Their hiring manager had watched the situation online and contacted me immediately. Would you be willing to consult with us instead? We'd love to work with someone reliable. I said yes. The new client was clean-cut, professional, and unconcerned about the noise. We saw your code samples and the feedback from Elm Creek Realty, he remarked over Zoom. You're clearly the guy for the job. That was it. There's no drama. No digging. Just respect. But while I was troubleshooting their tenant portal, Elysia was on a different mission. Damage control through deflection. The official legal notice arrived in my mailbox 3 days later. Subject: cease and desist. Notice of intent to take legal action. My immediate reaction was to laugh so hard I almost knocked over my coffee. The document was a poorly formatted PDF with her firm's letterhead, most likely a remnant from her office, and it was full of legal jargon strung together like it came from a template generator. It still had the Microsoft Word formatting lines visible, indicating that she saved it in a hurry and forgot to export clean. Real professional stuff from someone attempting to rebuild her reputation. She was suing me for defamation, intentional emotional distress, and, get this, malicious sabotage of professional reputation. I scrolled to the bottom. The claimed damages totaled $120,000. Yep. She attempted to sue me for 6 figures because she felt ashamed and wanted someone else to wear it. I sent the document to my attorney, a kind guy named Bramwell who I've worked with for years. Dude's built like a bouncer and speaks like a barista. He read it, and then sent me a voice memo that began, "Bro," and finished, "We're going to eat her alive." We issued a formal response, rejected everything, and moved to dismiss with prejudice. I've attached a neatly named folder containing screenshots of her pleading for aid, her refusing to pay, her admitting it was urgent, my refusal, and her later accusation of me. We also shared metadata logs that proved I never accessed her files, because I didn't. I couldn't have spilled something I'd never touched. What made it even better was that her Google Drive folder was unlocked. It was shared with a total of 3 persons. None of them is me. But guess who was on the list? Yep. The guy she was having consulting hour pillow conversation with. His personal Gmail is as plain as day. That alone invalidated her entire case. If it was leaked, it was either her or her male toy. I wasn't even inside the building, let alone the suspect lineup. The court date is 2 weeks away. At the time, I did not respond to her. I did not communicate with my parents either. Mom tried to call once. I declined. She responded with a passive-aggressive reply. You're blowing this out of proportion. Families don't sue each other. No, however, it appears that they try to frame each other when it suits their tail. I arrived early in the morning for the hearing. Not because I was anxious. I just wanted a decent seat at the circus. Elysia was already present, sitting stiffly alongside a junior associate I had never met before. I guess the firm didn't want their name associated with this crap. I'm guessing she found someone green or broke enough to take on her case. In any case, he appeared to be practicing law between DoorDash shifts. Anyway, she appeared to have not slept in a week. Dark circles. Flat expression. Like reality had finally hit her in the face, and she wasn't sure whether to cry or pretend it didn't hurt. Her lawyer began the court with a dramatic reenactment of Alicia's alleged reputation assassination, claiming that I had expert access to her devices, that I purposefully twisted private conversations to incriminate her, and that I had a personal hatred stemming from childhood jealousy. I nearly choked. Dude was reading from a screenplay, as if this were Suits. Then Bramwell got up. No manipulation occurred, he stated flatly. What happened was that the plaintiff kept sexual, damning content in a shared cloud folder with no encryption or password precautions, and then attempted to shift the blame onto the defendant, who refused to help her for free. He has produced paperwork proving she sought for assistance, refused payment, and then blamed him when the leak occurred. Then he brought us our receipts, which included timestamps, metadata, emails, logs, and a complete list of the IP addresses that accessed her Google Drive, none of which matched mine. But do you know who did match? Her affair partners. When Bramwell pointed it out, Alicia turned pale. Her lawyer attempted to pivot. I claimed I might have directed someone else to disclose it. The judge responded, "Do you have any evidence of that?" "No, Your Honor, but the timing is circumstantial." Move on. I almost gave Bramwell a high five in court. When it was Alicia's turn to speak, she delivered an unconvincing speech about treachery and my own brother turning on me. It was like seeing a student who had not studied try to give a presentation based on the Wikipedia synopsis. The judge eventually leaned forward and stared directly at her. "You didn't file a case. You filed a personal vendetta dressed up as a legal complaint. That's not justice. That's weaponizing the court system to clean up your own mess. And we don't play that game here. You should know this since you were a lawyer." Boom. Case was dismissed with prejudice. This meant she couldn't refile, try again, or take me through another round of crap. It was over. I did not gloat, I did not smirk. I simply stood up, nodded to Bramwell and walked out, as if I had better things to do. Which I had. That night, I shared a photo on my business Facebook. I'm just standing in front of my laptop, middle finger taped down to hold up a cup of coffee. Caption: Unemployed gamer. Lawsuit survivor. The schedule is full. Make an advance booking. It was not petty. Okay, maybe so, but it was also a flex, a well-deserved one. The remarks came in quickly. "Tell us the story, King. Hire this man before he's too expensive." Even better, one of my former professors from a bootcamp program stopped by. "Knew you had it in you. Let him talk. You're building while they're blaming." The next day, Alicia shared something strange on her social media. A black and white quotation image. Sometimes those closest to you strike the deepest. There's no name or context, just pure victim mode. It received 4 likes. Mom contacted me again. "You embarrassed her in public. Was it really worth it?" I responded. "She sued me. I just showed up with the truth." No response. Business continued to increase. More referrals came in. Bramwell even added me to a development contract with another firm he represents. Small but dependable clients. Good individuals. They viewed me as a builder, not a failure. Meanwhile, Alicia remained silent. I heard she'd moved out of her condo, sold all her expensive handbags online, and was taking time for her mental health. Which, by the way, take all the time you need. But don't pretend you're mending when you were swinging a knife the week before. That chapter was finished. But the narrative did not end there, for achievement is loud even when whispered. I didn't have to rub anything in. I did not go about posting side-by-side images of court filings and the meme that began it all. I did not dunk on her LinkedIn or tag her in motivational comeback quotes. I simply worked quietly and efficiently, and the louder they were with damage control and excuses, the more attention fell on me. 2 weeks following the court victory, I signed 3 more clients. One was a referral from Bramwell. The second was from a person who saw my humorous post and remarked, "Anyone who survives a lawsuit and still delivers clean code is worth hiring." And the third was just random, some real estate agency on the other side of the state. Apparently their internal tech person had left following a crash and they wanted someone to clean things up quickly. I have it running in 48 hours. They sent me a testimonial that basically said, "Professional, no drama, no excuses. Would hire again immediately." That review prompted 4 additional inquiries. I hired a part-time employee to help me with the overflow. He was still at school, rough around the edges but hungry. Reminded me of myself, minus the chip on his shoulder. I liked that. Then it occurred. A knock on my door again. I already knew before I opened it. I stood there for a second, peering at the door, thinking, do I really want to hear this today? But curiosity triumphed. I cracked it open. Mom and Dad. Round 2. But this time, They appeared different. Not furious or desperate. Just embarrassed. Dad's normal confidence had deflated into the stiff hands-in-pockets pose he adopted when he neglected to pay the water bill when I was 13. Mom wore sunglasses indoors. Classic. "Can we come in?" she inquired, her voice low. "Didn't work out with Alicia, huh?" I asked. No response. I stood aside. They did not sit down right away, they just hovered, as if waiting for me to give food or make light talk. I did not. Dad eventually cleared his throat. "We just wanted to talk." I leaned against the countertop. "Talking's free. Just making that clear up front." Mom sighed. "We're struggling a bit." I didn't say anything, just raised my eyebrows. "We've been helping Alicia out," she said, as if I hadn't guessed. "She's been through a lot," Dad explained, still in justification mode. "And after everything that happened with the firm she's not exactly bouncing back." "She was living with us for a while," Mom explained. "But she needed her own space again, so we helped her get an apartment." I tilted my head. "Your golden child needed your help getting a place to live. Thought she was rebuilding her empire." "She's trying," Mom said. "But she can't get work. No one will hire her right now." I remained quiet. Allow it to breathe. This always made them uncomfortable. Then came the punch. "We were hoping," Dad whispered, "that maybe you could help just a little. She's not asking directly, obviously, but you know how hard things have been." "Let me stop you right there," I told you. "You want me to give her money?" They paused. Mom tried again. "Just a small loan. We know you're doing well now. You have your own business. It wouldn't be much." "And you think that makes this okay?" I inquired. "You laughed when she called me unemployed. You backed her up when she tried to drag me through court. You accused me of sabotaging her, and now, because I didn't crash like she did, I owe her?" "It's not about owing," Dad replied immediately. "It's about family." I chuckled. "Right now I'm family again. Not when you needed a signature to save her bar license. Not when I was building my business from nothing. But now that you need cash. Now I'm back in the club." Mom's voice increased. "Calder, don't do this. We've had our differences, yes, but Alicia's still your sister and we're still your parents." "Yes you are," I answered. "And I remember exactly how you acted when she was on top. I remember how many times I got ignored, dismissed, laughed at. You never believed in what I was doing. You thought coding was a phase. You thought freelancing meant lazy. You never saw me as anything but the backup plan." "You're twisting this into something it's not," your dad responded. "We didn't mean any harm. You just didn't think I'd make it," I explained. Following that, there was a loud silence. I went over to the tiny table beside the entryway and grabbed a manila envelope. Inside are a copy of Alicia's lawsuit, the court's dismissal decision, and my most recent business registration documents for tax season. I handed it to them. "What's this?" Mom inquired. "Proof," I said. "Of where I've been. Of what I built. Since you didn't seem to notice before." She opened it, looked inside and set it down without saying anything. "I'm not giving her a cent," I said. "And I'm not giving you one either. You made your choices, you backed the wrong horse. Don't act surprised now that she can't carry you." "That's unfair," Dad yelled. "No, it's math," I replied. "You invested everything in her, emotionally, financially, publicly. And when I succeeded, you weren't proud. You were quiet. So keep that same energy now." They did not argue after that. They just stood there awkwardly, as if they were hoping that if they looked pathetic enough, I would reconsider. Eventually, they left. Didn't even properly close the door. I had to walk over and close it myself. By spring, everything she previously boasted about had vanished. The bar suspension became permanent. Quietly. There was no news statement or appeal. Just a stripped title and a notation on the official website. License deactivated due to ethics violations. No firm would touch her after that. Even the one where she interned removed her from the alumni list. The Whisper networks did not forget either. Everyone chatted, including lawyers, clients and recruiters. Not loud or public, but loud enough to close every door before she could knock. She tried pivoting, consultancy and strategic coaching. Nothing stuck. People used Google. They witnessed the screenshots, the court proceedings, and her effort to blame her own brother. That type of discoloration does not wash away. She moved again. Smaller and less centralized. No more coffee balcony images. No more thriving captions. Just silence. Her pals have stopped tagging her. The mutuals unfollowed. Those who had before said, "Your sister's killing it," now said nothing. And the silence was the loudest part. The lawsuit she filed against me was not simply dismissed. It followed her. Every firm she applied at regarded her record as frivolous, personal and desperate. It explained everything they needed to know. She never reached out again. Neither did my parents. I did not require an apology. I simply needed space. When people ask what occurred between us, I make things simple. She staked everything on being better than me. I just kept building.